Hey Armando,
Hello,
how you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Okay. Oh my! All of a sudden, there's like five of us here. Wow.
Good.
Owner's iPhone. Okay, I wonder who that is.
Owner.
It's owners.
I see June.
Mine, I cannot use my computer today. No internet access. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
That's a Vital.
Yeah, yeah. I saw that up there. Like, I wonder who that is. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry about it.
No, that's fine. You're here.
Yeah,
That's all that counts. Okay.
that's right.
Hey, John.
Thank you.
That's all that really matters. You made it. Now, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different logging on the phone than with like a computer, isn't it? Don't you have to use like a different pass or anything?
Not really. Actually, it's easier because I have the icon, the app on both
Mhm.
computer and the telephone, except that I cannot identify myself the way I want to on that phone.
Yeah.
It's just one way. That's it.
Huh. Okay. Yeah, I'll bet you if you, not that it's really important, but you could probably go into your, have you got an iPhone or you got a Android?
iPhone.
Okay. You can go under settings and I'm sure there's a way you can set that up. So that it, will say like, Avatal's iPhone or whatever. But yeah, do that later. We won't
Okay.
do it now.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, that's fine.
Anyhow, so we're back. Some people sent some stuff in. I've got some stuff that came in later in the week, last week, to share. And so we'll kind of just jump right into all that and see what we can come up with. Okay. All right. So speaking of, since we're talking to Avatal anyway, we showed this last week, but I was going to show it again. This is her final of this watercolor of this guy's face. And she had done some pieces previously. And, I was kind of hoping maybe she would go back in and punch up some more color. But she was saying that I guess she was getting nervous and didn't want to push it too much further. What are your feelings about that now? Are they kind of the same, or you want to, are you kind of maybe willing to go push this a little bit further?
I am. In fact, that's the reason I'm showing it. I'm hoping that was the first, as I said, that was the first one. Then came the sketches because I was not brave enough to go all out on this original one because it took longer to. I used the pencil before. I put I sketched it before. Then I used the watercolor very cautiously.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, and I like the effect when some people, and sometimes it happens to me too, that you put a mark and it diffuses from dark to light, and but you cannot really, I cannot control it. Mm-hmm. Well enough to do it on this, but yes, I'm very much willing to go back and darken it, definitely.
Yeah, because one of the beautiful qualities about watercolor, you can work with it and you can be very precise with it if you use it as sort of a drier technique. If you work real wet, then yeah, it's very hard to control. So really with watercolor, it's all about the amount of water you have on the paper and the paper itself and how the paper reacts with the water. So, basically what I would say is, work in small kind of medium-sized areas. And, if you want that looser sort of look and you want color kind of bleeding into color, then just wet that single area and then drop your color in
Yeah.
Kind of selectively where you want to put it, and let it do its thing, let it kind of diffuse and do the thing that it does. And that's always kind of a nice contrast against something that's tighter and more deliberate and accurate, because again, it just forces that contrast even further, from something that's kind of loose and kind of free to something that's, very structured. And since you already have your drawing in place, then, like on the shadow side of the face, and down like the bridge of the nose, areas like that, you could just go back in with pure water, wet those, until there's water literally standing on them, and keep it flat, don't elevate it. And then you could just drop, you can mix your paint and, with a fair amount of water in it, and then just drop it in and let it kind of diffuse, and spread. And, the effects that you can get with that are really, really, striking. And again, that will kind of contrast the more deliberate, tighter, light side of the face, see? So that, it falls into either shadow or light, right? And
Yeah.
it helps define the shape of the head a little bit better that way. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I have to. It's in the frame. I have to take it out and
Mhm.
and just do it.
Yeah.
I've been.
Now,
Yeah.
one thing you might want to do before you take that out of the frame and all is you may want to do a drawing similar, right, about similar size,
Yes.
and then try that technique. Try, on the basic same kind of watercolor paper. Um, you know, wet, wet like the shadow side of the head, and then just practice and play, dropping color into those pools and see what it will do. Because,
Yeah.
different colors will react differently with each other. And so the way it bleeds and things, some will almost like force other colors to resist them, okay, where others will sort of blend together very nicely and
Oh.
play together well. And again, that's what gives watercolor that sort of unique look to it. Okay.
And would you water the paper not very damp, I suppose, kind of half absorbed already in the paper?
I wouldn't have the paper wet. What I would do is I would stretch it, and tape the edges and let it dry totally. And then that way, when you're laying water down, you're laying it down in very specific areas and shapes, and then you're just dropping the color into it and letting it sort of bleed through it and diffuse.
I see. I see. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
if you start off with the paper really wet and then you try to wet it again, that water is just going to wick into the rest of the paper. See, and
Yeah.
so let it dry, and that way you can be pretty precise and pretty accurate with your areas and shapes. And then if once you get that down there, let's say that you end up with a hard edge somewhere, well, then you can come back in with just the water after everything's dried and wet that and lift it back or whatever and soften it, so that if you want to get rid of the hard edge. But
Yeah.
that way you can get a little more free with your color.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a very important point, actually. Yeah. In fact, if you want to establish a hard edge, you go to an existing color and put a little drop, and then it collects the edges.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Kind of.
I can.
So thank you. Yeah, that's a very good idea. I didn't think about it. Thanks. Thank you.
Well, now when we go to your next piece here, and let me blow that up so people can actually see it. Yeah, you went into that, much, in a much stronger fashion, with color and stuff, and it really worked, pretty nicely. It's you've got, the only thing I would kind of point out is, let's see, where's my cursor? Okay. Yeah, right here in the lower part of her face,
Yeah.
if the nose is going to catch light like that, then maybe one part or the other of the upper lip might, but there's going to be a shadow under that nose somewhere, and you've kind of left that out. And then overall, so you've got the value down here in the lower part of the face darker, right, than you do up here. So that means more than likely there's going to be some value in there so that the whole lower part of the face is not as bright. You know, like this lip right here or the upper lip cannot be probably as strong or as bright as say, the nose, because the nose protrudes out a little bit more and it's a slightly different angle to the light, right? So there's going to be some tone or some value in here. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be real dark, but it's going to be different than really the brightest areas, okay?
Yeah, thank you, yeah.
And then have we got Bernice back?
Yes, I'm here.
There you are. Okay. All right. So Bernice sent this in, and she wanted some pointers, comments, whatever, suggestions.
I copied from the screen.
Right. Yeah. Now this is her reference that she sent, and this is what she's working from. Okay. So now, you know, I could say a couple of things about that. Generally, I don't recommend that people try to copy other people's paintings. You know, but hey, you know, if it's a source of inspiration, it's a source of inspiration. So let's get to her piece. Okay, but this is what she was looking at. And then this is what she's doing. Now,
Oh, nice.
Bernice, are you doing this in acrylic or
Acrylic.
acrylic? Okay, all right. So here's my first comment to you, okay? If I were gonna do this painting, okay, for me, what I would probably do is I would take that yellow that you've got back here, and before I ever started figuring out where the trees or anything else were, you know, I might start off at the top of my canvas painting that yellow, and then letting it come down and then finding some other color, maybe a reddish or a brownish kind of color, and gradating it down to that brown on the bottom, okay? As a base, all right?
Okay.
And then after I did that, then what I would do is I would then go back in and, you know, begin to draw in or paint in, you know, the general positioning of my trees and, you know, the ground and where the path is, right? And you see with that already kind of laid in base color, let me go back to your original. Okay, you see, you know, you would already have that kind of gold color back here, radiating into, you know, kind of this brownish tone that becomes the path.
Yeah.
Okay. And you don't have to go back in and paint the path in on top of. I'm sorry. We're being.
Oh, it's it.
I hate it when people try to call in the middle of the class.
What I wanted to ask you about though is
Silence it.
see the two trees that are on the left, on the right.
Or on the right over here.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And see the area behind it looks like it's kind of up, like it's rolled up or something.
Right.
Yeah. Right there. I don't know how to make it look like that part.
Okay. So what you've got here is you look at the difference in value. You got something that's kind of mid-tone to light, and then it goes to something that's darker, right? Right there. And then it goes back, and the things that are in front, again, are on lighter on top and get darker on the bottom, right?
Okay.
So what you're doing is you're creating a gradation, and anytime you have a gradation in color, that tells you that that surface probably is not flat, okay?
Oh, okay.
And so
And it looks kind of like the darker area kind of curved too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So like on your painting here, you've already got, kind of a mid-tone here. Now you could push that darker right in here, right?
Mhm.
And then let this be what it is, or even push this lighter. And then you could do the same thing. Or you could do the same thing here. Again, lighter on top, and then let it be, darker to the bottom. Okay.
Okay.
And see, that would kind of give you that feeling like it's rolling or it's kind of undulating. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Um, where you've got, the placement of your trees and everything else, and the general shape of your path looks really pretty good. I mean, you're beginning to get that sense that it's going back in space, right? Because of this sort of, triangular shape, pointing backwards. The only thing I would say, and let's go back to the reference, okay? And okay, I want you to notice a couple of things about this.
Okay.
All right, when they set this painting up, all right, you've got a very strong dark shape here at the top, right? And it's
Okay.
kind of a triangle, isn't it?
Mhm.
If you
Mhm.
just simplify it, it's a
Elongated
big,
triangle with a triangle, yeah.
yeah, but it's kind of a big dark triangle, okay?
Mhm.
And then, for the foliage and things behind that, notice that it's not as dark, okay?
Okay. Mhm.
See, it's more muted, and there
Yeah,
are,
I'm trying to do the muted behind.
yeah, there are some stronger darks in here. And if it were me, I would probably not make them quite that dark because they begin to interfere with that area pushing back, and it makes
The
it
tree
more,
there in front.
right. And so you see, I think you could actually do a much better job at this painting than whoever painted this. Um, and you could control that value and get that area to move back for you. And then if you can push this back, see, that moves all of this and your trees and everything forward of that, right?
Mhm.
Now, you've done really well at, keeping, like in your painting here, you've put this grayish tone in there. And so generally you have that gray, moving backward, and you got these guys moving forward. Now, if you get too dark or whatever back here, again, it's going to start competing with these. So keep your values, generally in that, I would say mid-tone to light range, and don't let them get too dark back here in the background. And then anything that you put darker over it will pull forward, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Oh,
Anybody else?
one thing, Jesse, you were talking about making the yellow on the left side be kind of bend into the greenness on the bottom. See, I was thinking once I put some more of my trees in, a lot of the yellow is going to go away anyway.
Well, yeah, you could paint it out, but you see, again, let's go back here to the reference, okay? So you see, you don't really have a lot of yellow back there, right?
Mm-hmm.
What you got is very neutral and very gray, right? In the original painting. And it gets not really yellow, but kind of a yellow green. But that yellow green, it's hard to say whether it's in the background. I'm kind of reading it as in the background. It's light coming through the trees, and it's lighting up, this part of the tree that's closer to us, right? And you see a little bit of it back in here. I actually like your painting better, right? In the sense that, you've got this yellow back here. And I think that's, if you kind of bring some of the grays and things in there, and even the yellow itself, you might want to like not make it darker, but again, make it more muted, add some gray to it and soften it.
Okay.
And then it's kind of like you got sunlight back there and your gray trees in front of it. And it could be like an early morning, like the sunrise coming up, and shining through the trees. I think you could get a really nice effect, with that. and actually,
Oh.
like I said, make a much nicer painting than the one that you're actually working from.
Okay, I'll work on it.
Yeah. You know, I mean, you know, take this, and you've got this as a source of inspiration, but you don't have to be literal about it. You can change things, you can move things, you can, you know, leave things out, put things in that weren't there, and really make this, you know, your very own painting. Okay.
I'd be so afraid that if I change anything, that the perspective would be off.
Oh, well, don't be afraid of that. Okay. Because again, you know, that you know, that maybe gives you a more of a challenge, but at the same time, it's an opportunity for you to learn and to work on and, you know, try to figure out more stuff about this. And, you know, so if you tackle that idea, that atmospheric perspective and stuff in this painting, next painting is going to be much easier for you. Okay. All right. So yeah, don't ever be afraid to, you know, jump in there and try something new. Okay.
Okay.
Or change something. All right. So this is a drawing that Bob sent in, and you know, it's this nice, beautiful, soft drawing. The only comment, you know, negative comment that I have about this is I wish you would have done it on a bigger piece of paper. You know, so that this shoulder, see, he could have gotten the shoulder in, and then
It is bigger. It's
Oh, it is?
it's not, it doesn't bleed off the edges. It's just I did not get the picture
Oh, you didn't get the whole
photograph
thing.
right.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, what you've done, you know, in this area is really lovely. You know, nice kind of overlapping shapes and forms, the arm coming forward, even this form coming forward, and that pushes the head toward us. Yeah, it's just I wish I could see more of it so that you kind of got the flow and the movement of the figure a little bit better.
I'll try to resend it in its proper form.
Yeah, it's cropped. Okay. But yeah, really, it's, you know, you're handling the pencil pretty well. You know, your value range and stuff is getting, you know, real distinct, and, you know, you got areas that you're pushing back and areas that you're pushing forward. The one thing I would say, and again, you know, I don't know how much more of the drawing there is below this, but if this is her knee and her leg moving forward, you know, and this is really closer to us, I would think that the size of that kneecap and stuff would be really much bigger than you got it. Okay. And that's going to force that perspective, you know, pushing that knee forward and then, you know, letting that hip go back. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, just look at the proportions of that a little bit. Because your knee really isn't, you know, is really not that small. Well, my knee is not that small. You know, maybe she had extremely skinny legs. I have no idea. But yeah, I've got big fat knees, I guess. Okay, and then there's this piece. All right, and again, you know, it's a really nice kind of relaxed pose. Are you working from reference on this?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right.
This was this is kind of part of your challenge
Huh?
a little bit,
Yeah.
because I found a set of watercolor pencils that I had never used. I have watercolors, but I've never used the pencils.
Uh-huh.
And so I attempted to do this one using the watercolor pencils, and I was finding it very difficult because the tips of the pencils would tend to crumble a bit, and so I could really never get a good clean edge in a lot of places, where I would really have liked a clean edge.
Yeah. Were you working on like paper that was damp or wet, or were you working on dry paper?
Well, it was dry paper, but I would wet the areas that I was working on with the pencil. That they were spot wetted, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. What I was going to say is that, yeah, if you wet your paper so it's just a little bit damp, and then trying to draw on it with a pencil, because if you're drawing on dry paper, then the watercolor pencil can be, you know, it's a little soft. And so when you start drawing on it, yeah, it crumbles and stuff. But if it's wet, then that helps it kind of, you know, make a smoother, better line for you. The thing I was going to point out or ask you about, okay, it's like right here in this section of the back. It's very flat, okay, and you know, I'm not getting a sense like right in here that there's some tension on that back and shoulder
Okay.
as that
Yeah, I understand. Okay.
as that arm goes out. And so rather than this being a flat line, I'm kind of thinking, you know, it may come down here where you've got it, but then it's going to have a slight curve in
Mhm.
the section till it connects to the hip.
Okay.
And that would give you a better kind of rhythm and flow to the piece than where it is right now. Okay.
Okay.
But yeah, that was the only negative comment I had. Now, one thing that's working really nicely is right here, this shoulder, and how you've got the back lighter up here. And then when you come back in with the face, you know, you've got it pushed more in shadow. So it's there, but it sits back and it's not as relevant or as important, you know, as, you know, the back and kind of the flow of the spine. And the other thing is, while I'm looking at this, go back and look at that and see if there's not just a slight curve to it as well. Okay.
Well, actually, there wasn't any at all in
None?
the reference photo, and I just kind of added that
Mhm.
little area just to define the fact that most people's back is a little bit round.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Well, yeah, you've got like two cylinders moving up the back.
Right.
Yeah, because you got the rib cage, right, on each side, and you got the spine in the center, and you got a set of muscles on each side of the spine called the spinia erectors that make it, you know, very rounded back there. But
Was
yeah, just
What-
look at that. So
what
somehow,
what I found interesting is your reference to Proco, and the series that he has on the skeletal structure.
Mhm.
I found it intriguing. I watched a couple of those videos and just, you know, how the muscles are attaching to the bones.
Mhm.
I mean, those are stuff you kind of know back in your biology days in high school,
Mhm.
but you really never think about.
Right.
And the guy really presents it well as far as how those things work together. And I'd say I like his videos.
Yeah, he's got a really good series of videos. And then of course, if you're going to do a lot of figure drawing, Bridgman's Artist Anatomy or Constructive Anatomy are both really good books. Now, Bridgman was back in the 1800s, but you know, those drawings and, you know, just those concepts are still, you know, as equally applicable today as they were back then.
Mhm.
And they really do help a visual artist begin to simplify and break down the human body and understand, you know, how those parts are connected and move together. And that's the hard part for a lot of people starting to draw the figure, because you know, we've all got shoulders, we've all got hips, we've all got a head and two arms and two legs. But really, when you're trying to conceptualize how those move in unison together, because you can't move one part of your body and not move the other. You know, it's all connected up. And so, and it may be like subtle movements, but it's like, you know, when I lift my arm here, it's like automatically this shoulder, you know, begins to sink down a little bit, right? Again, because they're connected, you know, so I can't move this and not affect this, okay? So, you know, looking at those references and, you know, doing like tutorials and studies and things like that through sites like Proco and, you know, even on your own. And then just plain old life drawing, you know, when you have the opportunity to do it, is invaluable. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. We talked about Eloise's painting. So she sent this in. This was her reference, and this is Miami, the harbor, I guess, in Miami. And she's got all these islands and things here in the foreground. And, you know, she sent this in. And this was this was a big step forward and a nice improvement over what she had initially been doing, because she's getting more and more color in there, and she's getting, you know, bolder with it. You know, she's beginning to get more color here in the foreground, and, you know, she could definitely push more of the contrast and color in this area, which again would help move it forward and give you this sense of distance and depth, you know, in the painting that you're beginning to get, but, you know, could go really quite a bit further. Same thing up here in the clouds. You know, she can soften some edges and, you know, just kind of blend things together a little bit better. Now, she's working in acrylic, so that's not always the easiest thing.
Oh, it's
to do.
oil. It's
Oh,
oil.
it's oil? Okay, all right. I stand corrected, it's oil. So you can blend things together. So yeah, you know, again, you know, don't only think about the color and the shape and the value, but also think about that next step, which is, what are the edges doing? Is it hard or is it soft, right? And address those, you know, as you're laying some of that stuff down, okay? But, you know, it's really coming along. It's a nice, you know, it's a really nice concept and idea, and, you know, you're just getting to the point now where the color is beginning to come out and get kind of rich. And so, you know, play with it, you know, push it, you know, don't be afraid, you know, to, you know, push it further, because worst case scenario, all right, the worst thing that's going to happen is that you're going to go back in, you're going to have to kind of, you know, tone it down a little bit. Okay. But, you know, push it a little bit, see where it goes. I think you'll get some things you really like, you know, in doing that. And again, you know, it's something that then becomes exclusively yours, and it's not just a copy of that photograph. It's your interpretation, and you've kind of made it, you know, your very own piece of artwork. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. These were from Elsie, and she sent them in. This is her daughter. And if I get this correct, okay, and I may or may not, from my understanding is this was the original paint, okay, and which is lovely. And I mean, I really like the painting just as it is. You know, I mean, there's little quirky things about the proportion of the head and stuff like that that could always be better. But, you know, the thing is, the feeling of the painting itself is really lovely, and just the use of color and the flower pattern on the dress, standing in front of the flowers, you know, the flower stand there, and she sort of blends in, which I really like. And, you know, so the painting itself is really nicely done. And then that's the blurry version. This is the unblurry version, okay. Let's see, blow this up a little bit. So now, you know, she's reworking the painting, you know, she's doing another one. And, you know, she's going for more of a likeness of her daughter. And, you know, so she's developing the features of the face and just the gesture of the pose and everything, you know, pretty nicely. And she's beginning to model the flesh tones, so they're beginning to look, you know, round. And this is a very different painting from, you know, her first attempt. You know, the figure itself feels more solid and round and dimensional than the one here. See, which seems a little bit flat, right? It's kind of flat and kind of decorative.
Oh,
Yes.
I think it looks like a Matisse.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
This one here.
This one? Or
Right. Matisse.
or the previous one?
This one right here, the former one.
Well, this is the first one she did.
Oh, no, the second one then. The
Yeah,
one with the flowers in the back and the patterns, and it reminds me of Matisse.
Oh, this one. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I would agree with you on that. Okay. Yeah. It looks more decorative and very colorful and all. And I'm kind of hoping, I mean, she's just working on her daughter. Okay. And the thing I would want to see her do is I want her to push the colors in this the way she did here. See, the colors are much stronger and much richer here than they are in this piece, right? She could leave all the flesh tones and everything the way they are, but the dress itself, really push it. And then I'm kind of hoping that she'll come back in and put the background in, the way she did on the other piece. We'll see what she does, her purpose, her focus was to try to get, a likeness of her daughter here. And so I think she's being a little more successful about that here than in her previous painting. So that's kind of working out for her. But yeah, I just want to see her go further with it. Really, really push color on it. Okay, so this is John. This is not a painting. This is a mosaic piece that he did at Benson before we all disappeared and came home.
Oh, okay.
So,
I remember those brown, blue, and whites like that.
yeah, but this is, I think, John, you here?
Yes.
Okay, so now this is all glass, right?
It's all, yes, correct. All glass.
Okay,
Project was to use the backside of a plate
right.
and a mosaic.
Oh, I see your plate. Now I do.
Yeah, because some of the luminescence that you're getting, like in the photograph, is because this is glass and you've got this white plate underneath. So it almost acts, like the light's passing through the glass and then refracting back out. So it really makes the color, pretty bright on it. And it's nice. It's a nice piece. Now, were you going to go in and grout any of this, or are you just going to leave it?
I was going to leave it as it is. I wasn't going to grout it.
Okay, because I kind of like it with the white,
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I like the way it showed through. This is my very first experience doing a mosaic and cutting glass and putting it together.
So you had to cut the glass to fit.
Yeah, yes, right. You cut all the pieces of glass and you fit them in.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a lot of fun. It was something I'd never done before. And I said, Benson offered it and I decided to try it out.
So you drew the outline first and then you made the glass fit inside the outline.
It's on a plate.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's the back side of a plate, the bottom of a plate.
Yeah, but now I think the thing she's asking is, it looks like you took a marker or something and drew out.
Oh yeah, I did. Right, I did mark it out. Right, correct.
Okay, yeah, because you see some of that coming through the glass.
Right.
All right, so once you did the drawing, then you were basically either breaking or cutting the glass so that it would kind of more or less fit into those shapes.
Yes, correct. Correct.
All right. Okay, it's a nice piece.
It was fun. It was fun to do.
Yeah, projects like that are always a lot of fun to play with because, it's a different kind of medium and it forces you to simplify things, but it also gives you an opportunity to really exaggerate and push, contrast and color and stuff like that. So, yeah, nice job on that.
Thank you.
Then we have a lady who sent this piece in, all right? And this is her second look, is what she was calling it, second look artwork. And again, I think that this is on one of those, cardboard pieces that come from the rolls, the bolts of fabric. And she's using that as a basic format. And so all of her paintings are all kind of about the same size, the same kind of general, either horizontal or vertical formats. And it's, you know, it's a nice material to work on. You know, because all the sizing and everything else are real consistent. And so when she puts these all together, you know, they make kind of a unified body of work. So anyway, there's the, she set it up and hung it on the wall. She didn't paint the pot or the glass or anything. Let's see, yeah. And then here's just the piece. Okay. And in looking at this, I'm trying to remember, I think she said if somebody was using bubble wrap, but are you here, lady?
Yep, I'm here. Yes, I am.
Okay. All right. So how did you get these kind of circular shapes?
Once again, my trusty balloon.
That's right. Balloon. That's
Yeah.
it. Okay.
Yeah. And that was the, when I did the series of panels the first time, that was actually the first one. And I didn't like it. I was going to throw it away. I didn't like it, but I put it in my bedroom. It was vertical. And it was just leaning up against the wall, and I really didn't pay any attention to it. And so one day I was cleaning off the chest of drawer, and I turned it horizontally, and it's just a whole different painting. And I mean, I really love it because it goes so well with my terracotta pot. It has a whole different perspective. Vertically, I didn't like it. Horizontal, it's just completely different. And so it's the balloons and all the different acrylic paints. And yeah, it is on that panel from the fabric store.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it's a nice piece. Now if I'm recalling correctly, and you know, it's been a week, 2 weeks. You know, and so my brain may not be working correctly, but the other pieces that you were doing,
Yes.
they seem to have more contrast in them, right? Like the
Yes.
colors were brighter and all. This,
Yes.
yeah, this has got a softness to it.
Yes.
That makes it different. And you know, I like it. I mean, you know, I really kind of like how, you know, the green sort of transitions into the red, and you know, you get, you know, just these little hints of blue and, you know, some lighter value and stuff, you know, showing in between. And this morning, you know, when I was talking about painting, and I was talking about the difference between like a portrait artist and then like a fine artist and painters, right? You know, one of the things that really are important to a painter is the surface, right? What the surface is doing. And when you really get down close and look at how the paint sort of, you know, works together, you know, one color kind of flows into another or lays next to each other. You know, that's really important to painters, because rather than, you know, just having this smooth kind of monotonous field of color, you know, you've got a lot of activity here, you know, a lot of action, a lot of movement, right? Because of the way you've laid the paint down and those kind of rounded shapes, you know, it looks like you maybe put the balloon down and maybe turned it or twisted it. Is that?
Yeah, you just put it down and lift it up, or you can put it down and twist it. So it's a combination of just putting down and picking up and putting down and twisting it. So it's a little combo thing there.
Okay. But yeah, that, you know, just the little bit of movement as you twist it, again, you know, leaves these trails, you know, in the paint itself. And so it makes it more active, right? Rather than just something that's stamped and repetitive. And so, again, you know, it begins to be, you know, all of this movement, all of this activity. You know, now you can make out of that, you know, whatever you want to, you know, whether it's a crowd of people or, you know, a city scene or something like that. But it doesn't feel.
Preview of a flower or something.
It could be, yeah. But it doesn't feel kind of passive and still, you know. It's got this movement to it, almost like the shimmer on water. Or is that Bernice? Did you ask about the flowers? Yeah, Yeah, or kind of like looking at flowers and you're standing outside and there's a little bit of a breeze blowing, and so the flowers are just sort of moving, around a little bit. And so, yeah, I mean, that's kind of, for me, that's kind of the nice thing about the piece is the color and the motion and the movement, that it's not, real passive and static. Okay.
Thank
So,
you.
so what are your plans now? Are you, are you going to continue on kind of with this series, and how, if you did something more, how would you do it differently?
I really don't know. I mean, I'm working on the series with the family members.
Mhm.
I'm doing that, and I'm doing your project, which is taking off to a whole different perspective, which I didn't get much sleep last night because I'm working on it. I'm excited about that. So, so far as the panels, again, my next group is to do with family members, and do one with my mother's brothers and sisters, and one with my brothers and my nieces and nephews. So that's where I'm going now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question. Can I ask you?
Hmm?
You say
Yes.
that you painted it on the fabric. So it is not a canvas board then?
No,
What
no,
do you
no.
mean by
It's not-
fabric? You buy a piece of cloth and do it?
No, it's not on fabric. What it is, it's the cardboard panel that the fabric comes on. You go to the fabric store, you pick up the square bolts, and you say, I want 5 yards of this fabric. Have you ever bought fabric from the fabric store?
Not really, but it's okay, go on.
Okay, and so it's on a piece of cardboard. It's on a piece of cardboard, but it's just a square panel, and the fabric on the panel. And so fabric stores, what they do is they throw those pieces of cardboard away. Most of my art I do on cardboard because, again, like Charles said, the size is consistent, and the best part about it, it's free. I just take it and put some gesso on it and paint it. And so that's what it is. It's not fabric, it's the cardboard box that the fabric is wrapped on.
Oh, I see. Okay, I was keep on wondering. I see that. Where did you get the fabric to put on the cardboard to do it?
Yes.
I got it. So is those flat kind of a cardboard that is like this shape, which you wrap around the cloth
Mm-hmm.
material?
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're
I've
welcome.
been wondering.
Okay.
It's beautiful.
And the thing is, one of, as contemporary artists, and artists through all of history, one of the things is finding materials and things to work with that are affordable, cheap, readily accessible. And you don't always have to go to the art store and spend $100 on canvases and stuff like that. Not when you could go to like a fabric store and get pieces of cardboard and gesso them. Now, it's probably not as archival as a canvas, right?
Right.
But, it's a lot cheaper. But then what would happen if, maybe you had scrap wood, but you didn't like the wood surface. So what you did is while you were at the fabric store, you picked up some linen, right? And then you glued or you put paint down, embedded the linen on it and wrapped it, around the edges, and then put a couple of coats of gesso over that and then painted on that. Well,
yeah.
See, that makes it a lot more archival. And that's what we call, a painting panel, right? And believe it or not, there are artists, and we'll call them artisans out there, who, at one time, they liked to paint and stuff, but, they found out that they were really good at like making, these painting panels. And now it's, people have opened up their own businesses just creating painting surfaces for other painters.
Interesting.
That, like the bigwigs, like, Bert Silverman and, Daniel Green and folks, you know, they have people that they go to who make their, you know, their panels to paint on, you know, because those guys know exactly how much tooth to get on the surface and everything else, you know, for that artist. And so, you know, they'll get, you know, real customized stuff that they can work on. But, you know, a lot of that stuff you can create yourself, you know.
Yeah, I'm really excited about creating things to paint on. Like, this is my new project. I don't know if you can see it. It's a stamper.
Uh-huh.
I
Okay.
made my own stamp
Uh-huh.
to put on my abstract art. And all it is a little chalkboard I got from the Dollar Tree, and I wrap rubber bands around it, and I put it in paint, and I stamp it. And it's such a beautiful stamper. I mean, it's just anything that you can, anything I can make for free or cheap, and make art out of it. It's so exciting.
Right. And see, that's the thing about, again, you know, contemporary artists. You know, there's so many artists out there who work with things like found and recycled and resalvaged objects and things like that. You know, and there's nothing wrong with that. And in fact, it's great, because if you can take something that somebody threw away or was going to throw away, and then you can repurpose it, you know, to make art out of, why not?
Yeah.
You know? I mean, you know, and you know, you know, the resources out there living, you know, in a contemporary society the way we do are endless, you know. I mean, you've got glass and, you know, like bottle caps and, you know, different types of metal and, like you said, rubber bands, you know, that you can use to create stamps and stuff with. You know, almost any kind of material you can take and repurpose, you know, to either use in your art or to create art with.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, it's definitely, you know, play with stuff like that, because it's, you know, you create some really unique and interesting things.
Right.
Did somebody eat themselves?
Yeah, somebody's got something going on in the background. Can we like mute ourselves there? Okay, there we go. Evidently they did. All right, so so this painting is a painting that June sent in. June, I saw you. Where are you?
Yeah.
Are you hiding?
No.
Come out wherever you are. I can't see you for some reason.
Oh, you suppose now you can see me?
No, I can't see. Oh, now I can. There you are. Okay. All right. So so you sent in this painting, and you had, you know, if I get this correctly, you had sent in a drawing, right, of the horse. Yeah, and it was a really nice drawing of the horse. Okay. And I don't know if we've talked about this, but
yeah, you did. Didn't talk the drawing. We didn't talk the drawing.
Yeah, we talked about the drawing, but we haven't talked about the painting, have we?
Yes.
Have I
Don't know. Last Wednesday I didn't join the class.
Right.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So my comments were, okay, the proportions of the horse were better in the drawing than they are in the painting. Okay. Like, you know, the thickness of the neck needs to be a little thicker, right? And maybe these legs could be a little bit larger, particularly the ones in the back, because they're kind of closer to us. So really go back and look at the proportions, okay, of the horse, right? You've got the movement, you know, and the idea that he's rearing up and stuff. You got all that, you know, really well. But again, you know, look at the weight and the proportions of the different parts of his body, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Something a little off there.
Little off. Yeah. I can tell, not right now.
So here's the one. Yeah, here's the one I want to talk about, because I got a little bit excited about this piece. Okay. Well, because Eloise was doing sort of like I think it was a sunrise, you know, with Miami. And so again, you know, it's this time of day and how it affects water, right? And how the light affects the water and refracts or reflects off of it. And you've got sort of, instead of a morning, you've kind of got almost like an evening at what we call the violet hour, and that kind of rosy, kind of purpley pink sky. And then how the water is turned this sort of minty green. You know, it's a really nice play of color, you know, one against the other. Now, the thing I will, I guess, recommend to you, okay? And, you know, again, I don't want you making a lot of changes and stuff to it, but back here toward the edge, right along here, if you can gray that down just a little bit, right? Same basic color, but just mute it a little bit so that this part begins to feel further away, and leave these alone. You know, let the stronger color move forward. And, you know, the way you've got the figures and everything else in there, it really does remind you a lot of that time of day, you know, when, you know, figures kind of become almost like silhouettes and stuff. So there's a really nice feeling to that painting. How big is this?
Yeah, 11 by.
Yeah, about 11, 14.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You know, I would almost like to see you paint this like 2 or 3 times bigger. So that,
okay.
yeah, so that you could really kind of get in there and play with sort of the transition of color, you know, in the water, but also with the figures themselves, and, you know, indicate like a warmer side and a cooler side to the figures, so that it feels like, you know, there's that warm light, you know, showing on one part of their body, and then the rest of it is kind of in shadow. Okay.
Okay.
But yeah, you could do lots and lots of things with that. But yeah, that's a really nice idea. Now, what did you use for like reference on that, you know, or to kind of inspire you to do it? Is this all just kind of out of your head, or were you looking?
No, I have have a little bit of reference. I have the reference like advertise.
What? What?
I don't know where it is. Maybe somewhere at the TV advertise. I took the picture.
Oh,
from
okay.
the TV.
Okay, I do that too.
Yeah, little bit different. Just almost follow the copy that reference.
Okay. All right. Well, it's a nice painting. I like the idea of it. I'd like to see you go, like I said, a little further with it, and you know, really push your color, you know, play with warm and cool transitions of color. I think.
Okay, thank you. I don't have the really white color. I just use tomato, then wash it. To get this color, and then like just like a canvas.
Your phone looks very good with that wash, though.
Yeah, I washed out. I said I don't have to really. I want the white color.
Yeah. So you lifted this back. You kind of pulled it out. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, to get back to the white of the canvas. Okay, but it worked really well. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, because it kept it kind of soft in areas and stuff, so it feels like water and waves, right? If it were all just real crisp and hard, then it wouldn't feel quite the same way. Okay.
Thank you.
Is Naomi here?
I'm here. Here I am.
So you sent me in a couple of things. You sent me in this lovely little girl. Okay. And tell us about her.
Oh, it's just from a magazine.
Okay.
You know.
I thought it looked like you, Mary.
Oh no, nothing like me.
No, that's not really a Naomi. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I can assure you, she's not a blonde by any means. And then, you know, this was a very nice figure. And that's kind of similar to the one that I sent out for the challenge. But it's a nice pose. You know, again, you know, I'd like to see you kind of go further with this. You got a clown.
Well, that I redid. Remember when I had the scratchy one that I was using a pen? I did it over again.
Okay.
With watercolor.
Yeah, and I think this is a lot more successful. Don't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the, you know, there's a sadness to this guy.
Yes.
But it's really nice. It's you know, it's really nicely done. We have again, you know, see, a lot of these are beginning to soften up quite a bit, and they're becoming really a lot more interesting this way than
Isn't that too dark, you mean?
I like that one.
yeah, I mean, when they were so hard edged, you know, yeah, they didn't have the, you know, they were a little bit bothersome, a little disturbing because they didn't really all fit together. This really holds together really nicely. And
my husband liked this one.
Yeah.
I like it more. Send it to me.
Yeah. Well, hang on, Larry. You might like this one even better because I like.
Now this one, yeah, okay, all right. I have problems with noses.
Okay.
Pretty good.
I have to work on my noses.
Okay. Well.
Noses and lips.
Okay. Now, what you really have trouble with is not drawing lips or noses. You have problems in getting the nose and the lips where they belong in relationship to each other.
Oh, okay.
Okay. You know, I mean, this looks, I mean, it could be a lip, okay? I mean, it looks like a set of lips. All right, but now it feels like it's kind of running a little bit downhill and a little to the far to the left, right?
Right.
And
I'm
like,
looking at it now and I see my mistake.
yeah, and the angle seems to be going downhill where the nose seems to be going this way, and so do the eyes, right? So it's a little out of alignment with, you know, the rest of the features of the face. And, you know, it just takes practice, but, you know, that's kind of what's going on there. It's not that you painted something that didn't look like a set of lips. It's just that the lips don't quite look like they sit on that face.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I add something?
Uh-huh.
I think sometimes it happens to me when I hold the paper while sitting and your proportions are get distorted, and it's really the way you're sitting in relationship to your reference, possibly.
Yeah.
I would wonder.
Stand it up more when I'm doing it?
No,
Yeah, I mean,
but
well, I was going to say, yeah, if you worked vertically, right?
Yeah.
Then you would get a lot less distortion.
Yeah, I'm looking at it and I see what you mean.
Charles?
Yes.
Can you go to her picture right above that one? I like to ask her a question. Yes, that one.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Hi, Naomi. How are you?
Hi.
Good. What is the inspiration? Is this just straight out of your head?
No.
Okay.
From Pinterest, they have very contemporary faces, and I just do it the way I want to do it. But I'm inspired by what I see that they do. But I do it differently. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Did you do this one with the wet on wet, or is this
I
wet on
did this
dry?
with the watercolor.
Yeah, watercolor, wet on wet, or wet on dry paper?
First, it's dry paper and wet, and then if I don't like it, I go over it and I take a napkin, rub it out. You know, I'm working at it. This one, I worked at it maybe 3 times. I went over it.
Mm-hmm.
Now this nose, I did better.
Naomi, your work is really beautiful.
Thank you, but I'm working at it. You know.
No, you got it.
Well,
you need to step back and look at it. You know, you need to look at.
You know what I find is my biggest mistake. I do it, and then I'm sick of it, and then I don't go back. I think I have to go back 3 times and then I'll do better and hold it up vertically. I have to take my time, and that's my
Yes.
problem.
Naomi, you need to know when the cake is done. And this
Oh.
cake is done.
Now,
Stop.
this one is done, but the next one is not. Look at the next one
The
where
next
I
one,
see the
I
next
don't
spot,
see,
not this,
no,
this one vertically, I see what's wrong, but look at the next body.
I don't see anything wrong with this one. I think that's beautiful, Naomi.
Okay, now this one, her leg and her behinds are all out of proportion. This is an example of me not looking at it again. See what I mean?
I went to high school with a girl who had that shape. She had big pear bottom and small waist.
Well,
People look like that.
well, it's a bit much. I think I had to, if I went over it again, I would slim something down there. Yeah.
Well,
She looks upset.
well, can I offer you a suggestion?
Yes.
Okay. So, all right. So you got the knee wrapping around to the thigh here, and you've got this line broken coming inside, which makes that hip and everything move forward, right? Which is good.
Yes.
All right. But off the back of the leg, see, you get this line back here. Now, right now, we read this all as, you know, like one part of the thigh, right?
Yes.
What would happen, though, if you came in off of this line right here and divided that? Kind of
Yes.
an angle,
Yes.
just like that. And then
Yes.
see, you've got the second leg back there.
Exactly.
Okay. So, you know, again, you know, you can thin that thigh down just a little bit.
Now, if I was in Benson, you could come and you would show it to me. See,
I could.
that's why we need you in person.
Okay, but here I'm online and I'm showing
Yes.
you the same thing.
Yes, I'm going to do it.
Now all you have to do is go do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway. Yes, Naomi, you can do these things on your own. You really can. You know?
I like when you're there in person, to tell you the truth.
No, I like in-person classes.
Yes, in person is great.
Yeah,
we all like in-person classes.
Yeah, I like in person myself as well, but you know, under the circumstances, you know, this is what we got, and we can still work.
Yeah,
and it works just as well, really.
Yeah.
I don't think Naomi sees how beautiful her work is. I really don't think you see it. Naomi, I am in total awe of what you do.
Oh, well, thank you. But I see what I have to improve and work on it more. But this one, see, she's resting. That's a problem. See where she's resting. I like everything except where she's resting.
Yeah. So, lady, let me kind of respond to what you just said, all right, and remind you, you know, everybody here, and every artist, even Bert Silverman, even Daniel Green, it doesn't matter how good you get, you're always striving to do better, right?
Right.
You know, if you're not striving to do better, then, you know, you would kind of stop painting. Because it's like if it would become boring very quickly without that. But you know, everybody is their own worst critic. You know, we all see the imperfections in our own work, right?
This is true.
And so we don't see it through the same lens as somebody, you know, viewing it for the first time.
But I like the critiques. I really do. It's very helpful. Very, very helpful.
I like the critiques.
This is true, Charles, what you say with any creative process. You know, I spent years as a cook, and to me, my food is okay. Other people are like knocking on the door asking for more. It's just okay, but I know it's good. And I don't know if Naomi knows that her work is good. When I listen to her, she always talking about what she needs to do. But do you know your stuff is good, Naomi? That's what I want to know.
Let me explain to you. At Benson, there were some artists in the class that just were fabulous. So I would look at theirs and then I would go back to mine and I wasn't so happy. See, there was a few, they were fabulous. And I like that because then I saw what I have to strive for. But like I say, I'm always trying to do better, But in this virtual, I see like the leg, when Charles said to put that line on the leg, that was helpful. And you know what my biggest problem is? I'm not looking enough. That I'm just impetuous. I have to look more. And that's what I'm working on. Slow down and look more. That's what my problem is. And the girls that I admire at Benson, oh, they'll take 6 lessons, 6 sessions, and me, in a session and a half, I'm done. And that's not good for an artist. An artist has to take their time, and that's what I would like to do.
Yeah.
I
Well,
say it, but I'm fast, and that's not good.
yeah. Okay. Now let's be honest, Naomi.
Yeah.
All right. There were some people in that class who took 6 or 8 weeks to complete something.
Yes.
Where in one session you would do 2 or 3 pieces.
Yes.
in that
Yes.
in that one class, and then you'd come back next week and you do 2 or 3 more. So yeah, you work quite a bit faster and you're more spontaneous.
Yes.
And there's nothing really wrong with that.
But
yeah, but again,
You
yeah,
have too many butts in your life.
you can go, you can always go back and look at them, and it's a good idea to come back a couple of days later or whatever, set them up, kind of reevaluate them, see what you might do differently, or see what you might go back in and change, on that piece until you get it, the way you want to. Okay.
well, that's the good part of acrylic. But with watercolor, it's difficult sometimes. The paper doesn't hold up. But this winter, I'm going to go over all my acrylic. I'm saving that for the winter to go
Okay.
in my basement and do it.
Go in your basement and paint with acrylic.
In my studio in my basement. When it's cold and rainy, I'll do my acrylic.
Okay. All
Okay,
right.
now this one I want you to critique her.
I like her. I
But
like her a lot. Now, somebody brought up Matisse earlier, right? And this kind of reminds me
The
of,
lady who was painting her daughter.
yeah, but this kind of reminds me of some of Matisse's work in one period where he was using sort of these patches of color, to paint. And now he didn't paint faces and things, but he painted still lives and things like that. And they were really interesting paintings. But, you've got a nice contrast with your line work and the color. Again, this is a lot softer than what you were beginning to do in the beginning. And so it's making this transition. And, and there's nothing wrong with, any of these pieces. It's just, again, you got to kind of figure out a direction, that you want to head in, and, keep playing with the media, get better at handling the media. The ideas and things are fine. And, as these are softening up, these are taking on, this really nice feel to them because they've got lots of color and, they're interesting to look at. There's nice expression on the face. So, keep going with it. Now, it looks like you used, is this like pastel chalk or something over?
I don't know if I chalked this one over. I'm not sure, but I do have pastel chalk, and sometimes with the watercolor, I'll put it. I think the blue on the left, I think that could be the chalk over it. Yeah.
I think the blue here, the red, and then this purple all looks like it's kind of laid over. It's got a slightly different texture.
And that it's a good way to correct your mistakes, the chalk on watercolor.
Yeah. Well, it's also just a good way to, add a different texture and color and intensity. So, yeah, but it's a nice piece.
Thank you.
And then we have Richard Johnson, who I don't think he's here, but this is on his drawing pad and his easel. Now, I don't think that the color wheel is part of it, even though he included it in the photograph. But this is actually kind of, he's playing with that inspiration, project right now. And this is, you know, this is really different, really nice, you know, for Richard. Because Richard's been doing, a whole variety of stuff, you know, not a lot of representational stuff, but more kind of decorative patterns and abstracts and things like that. So, you know, this is nice to see him get out of his box and, you know, try something a little new. And it still has that kind of abstract quality, but it still yet has this feeling of a landscape to me. So I wish he were here. He could tell us all about it. And then this is Susan Adair. You know, this is.
I remember that one.
Yeah, we looked at this. And then she sent these in just recently, and this is a parrot.
This is Charles. Why are you there? I'm watching. I would trust.
We got a tree that she did.
Wait a minute.
That's neat.
Yeah. Then some bottles. So she's been, you know, she does a lot of drawing, which is great. You know, it's good to keep working with that. And then the last piece she sent in was this flower, and you know, she handles, you know, the colors and the shapes and everything really nicely. You know, she tends to float these things on this white paper, and I'd like to see her kind of get some kind of background in to give it some contrast so it really pops that flower out. You know, if I were going to do something like this, I would probably take, you know, a mid-tone to dark blue or some kind of darker value or color and come in and really let that dark color define the shape and the edge of that flower. And that would really push that flower forward. Right now on the white, it sort of begins to look a little bit ghosted and it kind of just fades into the background. So, you know, creating some kind of contrast, you know, for the thing that you're painting to sort of play against is always a good idea. Let's see, most of this stuff I think we've looked at now. I'm trying to,
we talked about that one on Friday.
Right, yeah. So this is Harriet Tubman, and Bernice came back in and she worked on, you know, bringing out the element of the train and the train tracks. And that works a lot better, I think. Then this is Wanda, right? Okay, if I can click on it. And Wanda did this series of these little assemblages. And this is yarn that she's using, you know, to create the dresses and the hair and stuff. And then, you know, she did these little, you know, little phrases.
She had a little jewelry on the finger right there. When her hand comes around to the back, I think that's a little bit of piece of jewelry.
Yeah, right there.
Right there, yes.
Yeah, so yeah, she's got all kinds of little things in here. But it's a really nice, you know, kind of collection of materials and contrasting textures and color. And they're really, really nicely done. There's an elegance to them that's, you know, really fun, like this piece.
And the wording too.
Yeah, they're a lot of work. I mean, you know, none of this stuff, you know, is like quick, you know, and you know, kind of down and dirty. You know, she's taking, you know, a good amount of time and really kind of thinking out everything and, you know, creating some nice shapes and using, you know, good proportion and things through it. So yeah, these are really, really nice pieces. And then she had done this previously, and these are two like clay, you know, ceramic heads that were poured or cast. And then, you know, and pardon?
I said, I think she said she cast it, she had a mold.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and these, you know, these you could probably get, you know, the faces, you know, at like a lot of these, you know, you paint it kind of ceramic stores. But then she's added, you know, a lot of this extra stuff to it to kind of
Feathers and the cats.
yeah, yeah, that, and you know, obviously the way she painted the figures, but you know, the feathers and the cap on it and stuff. So you know, she took something and you know, she embellished it and went further and made it, you know, like a real, you know, this really fun kind of mixed media piece. You know, just using these different materials here. So there's lots of things, you know, that you can do. Again, you know, just like with Lady, you know, recycling and reusing materials, you know, there's a lot of little stuff probably laying around your house, old jewelry, things like that, that you could take and repurpose, you know, for a project like this, like, you know, a pearl necklace, you know, and then add the pearls, you know, onto, you know, these pieces, or, you know, little bracelets and things like that that maybe broke a long time ago. You could take some of the sections and things and use them, you know, for earrings and, you know, just various pieces of jewelry or just, you know, decoration. So, you know, that's one of the things about being a creative person. You know, a lot of us tend to be what people commonly refer to as pack rats, because we, you know, it's like, you know, we can't go for a walk without picking up a rock or a leaf or a flower or something like that. And, you know, we bring all this stuff home and it keeps accumulating,
Yeah.
you know. And the same thing, you know, I mean, you know, just going through your drawers, you know, old jewelry, you know, stuff like that, you know, things that broke that you know, you could repurpose and reuse. You know, I mean, it gives you, you know, endless opportunities to, you know, create interesting pieces of art with. And, you know, so, you know, keep your eye out. And, you know, keep making stuff. Anyhow, it's past time. It is now 3:22. And anybody got any questions? Anybody need to say anything before we go away?
Apparently not.
Huh?
I just said apparently not.
Apparently not. Okay. Well, look.
The question is, how was the trip? And did you find what you were looking for?
You do what now?
How was your trip, and did you find something you were looking for?
Oh, okay. I talked about that a little bit this morning. Yeah, it was a wonderful trip up to Illinois. It was the first time I had ever, you know, been to Illinois other than Chicago, you know. And I like Chicago. Chicago's a fun city. You know, I got an opportunity to go up there last year over the summer for a couple of days.
Yeah.
But no, Illinois is a beautiful state. I had gone up there hoping to find a house that I liked. And it was a really unique, really kind of beautiful house. But, you know, it had a lot of issues, you know, particularly like, you know, brickwork and foundation stuff settling, and, you know, it would have been like a lifetime project. And you know, what I'm looking for is I'm looking for something that's, you know, kind of unique and interesting to live in. But, you know, I don't want to take on a lifetime project where I'm constantly repairing it, or all I get to do is repair it. So
You'll never get to paint again if you get one of those.
well, yeah, you know, I mean, my idea is to go somewhere and to be able to live comfortably and push a little paint around and keep painting and making art. I don't want my final piece of artwork to be the house I live in. So, you know, a little bit of that is okay, but, you know, making a full-time career out of it, yeah, no, yeah. But, you know, I mean, I like that area. You know, when I was driving up there, just before I got there, I had to drive. You cross the Ohio River, and you cross into Illinois, and you enter this area that is referred to or known as the land between.
Mm-hmm.
And what they mean by that is it's the land that sits between the Ohio River and the Mississippi River, you know, where it's kind of a V-shaped little part of Illinois that comes down in between those two rivers. And the landscape there is, you know, really beautiful and really lush. And, you know, I was talking about the difference in the landscape between Georgia and there. And it's like in Georgia, you know, when I first came to Georgia, my comment was, you know, you can't see anything because it's covered in trees. You know, there's always a tree in the way. And in Illinois, it's like you get up there and it's something changes. It's like the sky in Illinois becomes much more dominant than here. You know, here the trees are dominant. There, the sky is really dominant, and the shape and how the land sort of rolls is really the dominant thing that, you know, gets your attention. Now they have lots of trees there, but you don't see pine trees there. They're all hardwood trees, you know, oaks and, you know, like broadleaf trees. You know, so it's got a very different feel to it, and it would be a great place to be and to go out as a landscape painter. You know, there's tons of things to paint up there. You know, the old farms, the architecture, the fields, you know, just the shape of the land and everything else are really interesting. And the light, you know, the light up there is really nice. But yeah, it would have to be a different house. not that one. Anyway.
Charles, have you tried New England? You know, Maine, Vermont?
Well, yeah. I mean, I like Maine. I love Maine, actually. You know, I spent some time in Friendship, Maine, and Bangor and areas like that. And, you know, that whole area is really beautiful. And there's a lot of painters up there. There's you know, thriving art communities and things all up and down the coast. The thing about, you know, the thing I'm having the dilemma with is, you know, I want a particular type of house, and you can find them. You can find them in the South. But the problem is I can't afford them in the South. They're out of my price range. I would rather be in the South because I like the weather here better than I do the North. I'm not a big fan of being in snow 5 or 6 months a year. So yeah, I keep going back and forth about it, you know, and I'm gonna have to make a choice eventually. But right now, you know, this is all an adventure. I'm kind of exploring. I'm trying to figure out what's possible and you know, what it is that I really want. So that's okay. I have the time. You know, I can invest, you know, a little bit of time and a little bit.
You look now.
Pardon?
That's the reason you look now instead of waiting till the day before you need to go.
Right. Yeah. Because I mean, by the time I get to, you know, say next summer, you know, toward the end of next summer, I kind of want to have an idea. You know, it's like, okay, yeah, you know, I like this area of the country. You know, I like this city. You know, I like, you know, maybe a particular house or something. But I'll have a better sense.
How are you going to teach at the Benson Center if you're living up there?
Yes, right.
Retiring.
I'm not. That's what retirement is.
It's good that you didn't find the house that you wanted.
This is the first I've heard of it. How does everybody else know about it?
Because you weren't here the day he announced.
Charles, you are not retiring yet.
No, I'm not. Not yet. But not that long from now. Okay.
Is Naomi going to take over?
Yeah, she would be a good one. You know, I think I would leave maybe her and Lady in charge. You know.
Oh boy, Daddy-O, you're in trouble.
There we go.
I've been in the corner before.
Hey, Charles.
Lady is a good one to make you feel good.
Yeah.
Because she sees so much good in everything.
Uh-huh.
As long as she can cook brownies, I'll be her friend.
There we
Yeah,
go.
you'll love my brownies, Daddy-O.
All right.
Okay.
Put some pecans in them.
There we go. All right, Fran. Fran, you had a question?
Yeah. Have you gone to Sedona, Arizona, or out in the Midwest?
I've been there. Yeah, I've been there. And I like, you know, well, Illinois is the Midwest, but yes, I've been to New Mexico and Arizona, not recently, but I like that area. Again, though, you know, I've been there different times of year, and I know that the high desert, you know, in winter gets very cold.
It's miserable.
I mean, very cold. So, yeah,
They call that miserable.
yeah, I'm not a big fan of freezing. You know. Yeah.
But you're going to Illinois.
I know. It's that's.
Stay here. Don't go anywhere.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
What about South Carolina?
Yeah.
But you know, I'm looking everywhere. You know, I'm not a big fan of Florida, but I'm even looking in parts of Florida, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. You know,
There's parts of Mississippi that are actually beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
The parts
Like
of the country
Natchez,
everywhere
Mississippi.
is beautiful.
Natchez, Mississippi is a beautiful town. Beautiful.
and so is Meridian. Meridian's beautiful.
Meridian, yes, sir.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
on the river. But actually, one of my favorite places is Biloxi.
Yes. Yeah.
You know,
Well, Biloxi's a whole lot. Yeah.
Yeah, if you go to Biloxi and just like in the morning along the Gulf Coast,
Yes.
it's like being in a different world. It's so peaceful.
Yeah, but it's great fishing.
It's what?
Great for fishing, and the fishes are great to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good area.
Okay.
For casinos too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not so big on. Yeah,
Well,
I'm not
that's
so
where you
big
throw
on.
your money away. He's not interested in that.
Yeah. Biloxi was so much more beautiful before the casinos. It was
Oh, yeah.
just, it was a beautiful place to go to. Beautiful as a kid. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I haven't been to Biloxi in many, many years. You know, and when I was there, it was just a really it was kind of like a quiet, sleepy little coastal town.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, and it reminded me a lot of where I grew up around Monterey. You know, it had that same kind of feel, a different look to it. You know, another place I really like along the coast is St. Augustine, because
How wonderful.
yeah, St. Augustine really reminds me a lot of Monterey, but it's
Oldest city in the United States, St. Augustine.
yeah, it is. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Anyhow, so much for my adventures. Anyway, we will be back here on Friday morning, okay, at 11 o'clock. And if you guys have been doing some drawing, sketching, thumbnails, you know, even on this challenge project, if you want to submit some of that stuff and talk a little bit about what you're doing and kind of your ideas, the direction you're kind of headed in, that would be a great thing to cover on Friday, Friday afternoon. I'm going to be talking a bit about different drawing media and particularly using like ink washes and, like pen sketches. Okay.
Okay.
And that's what we're going to be doing in the morning. All right.
All right.
All right. So see you on Friday.
Have a good evening. Bye-bye, everyone.
See ya. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, Val.